from Slab Stocks. We run a sports card market reporting company, and Mikey asked me to come down and host the panel. Once again, I did them last November, and it was a fun time, and I'm joined by Jeremy again, and then 2 new ones. So we will kick it off here, and I'm just going to start by asking each of you, who are you, and what do you do in the hobby, and why are you here? Specifically on this panel, not in Toronto.
Is this on? Well, thanks, Aaron. Pleasure to be back with you again this year. My name's Jeremy Lee. I host a show on YouTube. It's called Sports Cards Live. I go live Saturday nights at 10 o'clock Eastern, and I interview. I have live and interactive interviews with really the who's who of the hobby, whether you're an industry insider, a passionate collector, fellow content creators. And we get into the gist of why you're in the hobby, what do you collect, why do you collect what you collect, and they're fun shows. They last for about 2 hours, and I'm a 42-year-long collector. I'm here. I have a booth, 7:30, and I'm here to buy cards, sell cards, trade cards, and see everybody else that's in the hobby.
There we go.
Appreciate that, Jeremy. My name is Brendan, aka Coach Co. And my content is generally sports card news related content. I'm predominantly on TikTok. I specialize in short form videos. Why am I here? I mean, I live in Toronto, but I've been collecting pretty much my whole life. I started with Panini stickers and assembling the World Cup and Euro Cup books, and it graduated into completing the sets for Tim Hortons and McDonald's, and then eventually actually putting money into sports cards and, really collecting the players that I either admire growing up or, admire watching every single day.
Jay from Mojo Sports, first time in Canada, and oh, Canada, no, I'm just kidding. But I've been collecting since I was 14. I'm 28 now, and we create content on YouTube. JD's recording. Subscribe, like, and comment. There it is. It could be an outro, I don't know. But man, I love this hobby. I like sharing in the hobby with all you guys. We're all doing the same thing. It's great. We're a part of something bigger than these cards, and I'm glad that I can use my platform to elevate this hobby and to really just document an incredible story. And why I'm here on this panel is to talk about content creation, sharing stories, and just to talk about the hobby we love.
There you go. So whoever wants to start can go ahead with this one. Jeremy, I guess it's in your hands, so you might as well.
I'll take it.
When you were looking to maybe do something more in the hobby, maybe you say you've been collecting for a long time, and now you're like, oh, this YouTube channel, like what gave you that drive, that push to like really go all in? Because I think for a lot of us, it takes a moment in time to do that, and then once you get going, you just got to stick with it. So what was that moment for you that was like, I want to do this and really go for it?
It was the very beginning of the pandemic, March of 2020. And actually, just last week, I had my 3-year anniversary of the first time I did a live stream. Thank you. Thank you. I've done about 380 live, long form interviews on the channel.
That's a lot of hours.
Yeah, and they average about 2 hours long. So if you're going to watch them later, I recommend you do it at like 1.5 speed and save yourself some time. But what happened was one night I wanted to sell some vintage hockey cards, and I didn't want to go through the scanning, listing, shipping process so much. So I wanted to do a live stream to a vintage hockey Facebook group, and they said, that's fine, but you can only sell cards or show cards that are up to 1989. I said, fine. So I did it, had a great time, got a lot of great feedback. People were like, that was a lot of fun. You should do that again. Great. Now I want to sell some modern cards. There's a million modern hockey card Facebook groups. So I thought maybe I'll start a new Facebook group called Sports Cards Live, where people can just go and live. Like it was Whatnot before Whatnot was my idea. They ran with it, and I just kept on going sort of on my own. And when I got started, I figured, well, I'll bring on someone to interview. I've been friends with Carvin Chung, who is the guy who invented Exquisite and the Cup.
Legend.
Worked for Upper Deck, Panini, GTS. Yeah, he's a legend in the hobby. So I said, hey, Carv, I'm going to go live on Saturday. Do you want to come on? I'll interview you. And he said, yeah, sure, why not? And that was strategic because I knew that I would appeal to the hockey and the basketball crowd. So I brought him on. And then I thought, I guess I got to interview someone next week. And here we are 3 years later, 380 episodes later.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's incredible, man. It's So similar to Jeremy, I actually started creating hobby-related content in March of 2020 as well. I got laid off from my job, and I quickly had to pivot onto online. And prior to that, I really had no experience in social media whatsoever. And I was really kind of longing for some sort of purpose. I had really no direction. And because I had collected throughout my whole life, I really gravitated towards nostalgia and things that really brought me joy. And, I found the collecting space, and what I really realized is that there was a huge disconnect. I mean, there was so many things that were being said and really not one place to see them. As we know, there's so many different types of content. There's content on YouTube, there's content on TikTok, there's content on Instagram, there's content on Twitter. And I just wanted to talk about all the things that I saw and just, ask opinions and maybe ask for more information even. And that's kind of how sports or Coach Co Collectibles came to be, and really just, finding a news story and asking the audience what they thought, and, do you have any more information on this? And, quickly I started to develop a group of people, a community essentially of individuals who were open to sharing their opinion and being constructive and really kind of guiding, in a way, me in terms of like learning more about the hobby. And even in instances where I thought I knew, a fair bit about it in hockey and soccer, I'd be introduced to a brand new concept, or maybe a set that I'd never discovered before, or a rule that was in place before and is, ever since the pandemic or the boom, is all of a sudden, people don't really, it doesn't apply anymore. So, I just think that it's been a wonderful transition for me, really.
Awesome.
Yeah, it sounds like if anybody sees a theme here, 2020 was a great time to join making content. What a time to make content. I think all of us resonate with 2020 pretty well. I think for myself, looking back in retrospect, the community that I've been able to build around me has been the most valuable thing to me, and it has nothing to do with money or anything. I crafted a community within our sports card community, and I started filming in Dallas. I mean, we all have that story, where you start at nothing and you look back and you're like, wow, like I think each of us up here can look back and think, where were we 5 years ago? And I'm in Toronto. I've never been here in my life until yesterday. And it's like I'm making sports card content and doing the hobby I love and collecting things that make me happy with people that are feeling the same way. Like, to me, I look back and I think we have it so good. Like, just anybody that's at this show, take a step back, or if you're trying to make content or whatever you want to do in life, like, if you're passionate about something, you'll go to the end of the earth to master it. And I think I'm passionate about sports cards. I'm passionate about telling stories, content creation. I love YouTube because it gives us a chance to look back and really just like tell this amazing story. And I think like throughout the process, it's a grind, It's a grind, and it takes time, and all of these guys up here have put in plenty of time to build their platforms. It's behind the scenes. It's the camera guys, JD, what's his name?
Jeff.
Jeff.
My dad.
I always see Jeff. And, whoever produces your guys' content, I'm sure it takes a lot of effort. And, shout out to the editors, shout out to the behind-the-scenes guys, because I think for me, when I started, I would film, I'd go to trade night, and then from 3 to 6 a.m., I'd edit the video and put it up on YouTube. That was crazy looking back. Now I have an editor in New York. I have JD filming, and it's just like, I think all of us, it's crazy to see where we started to where we're at now. And it keeps growing, and that's the beauty of it.
Definitely. So, just a few of you all, actually, but pretty much all, you mentioned community as like one of the most important parts, which I'd also agree with, and I talk about that a lot when I talk to other people. Describe your community that you have kind of built in a little bit more in depth, because I think that the three of you, all your communities are so different. Like, I know that you and Jeremy and Jay are both on YouTube predominantly, but I feel like that the type of people you engage with are different. And obviously, Coach Co on Instagram or on TikTok and short form is way different too. But just like describe that and maybe how that started to grow or why and everything.
Well, I think people are attracted to the content that resonates with them, and I always say that when I go out to do any episode, when I'm creating my content, I try to entertain, inspire, and educate, and I want to do it with authenticity and passion. And I think that that's resonated with my audience on my show. And then, as far as how does the community interact with each other on my platform, which is YouTube? It's in the chat during the episodes. I call it, it's a live and interactive show. So if you're watching the show and you put in a comment, I'm almost always going to take that comment, put it on the screen, your name will be there, and I'm going to address it and speak directly to you through the camera. And I think that people, what they love about my show is that they become a part of it, and I think that that's one of the things that sort of sets me apart a little bit. That's doing content. Last night, I hosted an event at the Jack Astors. We had over 80 people come. It was an open call. I just sort of advertised it on my Instagram. Coach Co was there. You guys are always invited. I've done this for 12 years, twice a year for Expo, but
awesome.
now it coincides. Now now that I do Sports Cards Live, I have a much larger reach. It used to be just for the Hobby Insider message board website. So, and that was amazing last night because we, like I said, over 80 people, and they were all mixing and mingling and talking and having a great time. And today they're coming up and he's telling me that a wonderful time. So, I try to promote inclusiveness. I put a post on my Instagram the other day. It says, if you see somebody sitting alone at a table at a trade night, go ask to see their cards or bring them into the crowd that you're with. Just go bring them over to sit with you and your friends and be inclusive, be human, grow the hobby, grow your community and the community.
Love it.
Yeah, I think a big thing for the TikTok community that I've created is, at the end of the day, they all care very much about the hobby itself. And so because a lot of my content is like news oriented and so they openly share a lot of their experiences, and there's a lot of times where I'm actually able to pass those experiences on to the right channels. And that's actually one of the things that I love the most about kind of the community and the reach that I have now is that I have, a lot of these either high-up executives or whatever the case may be in like some of these companies where I have the ability to message them and say like, hey, can we fix this for this person? Like, I'm sure this is something that just like slipped through the cracks and otherwise would have been in an email form or like an angry video or an upset comment on something, right? So I actually have the ability to make like real change through my community, and I'm sure you guys all feel the same way as well. And I think that is, probably the thing that I love the most, and that the thing that really keeps the glue going for my community, and I mean, it just keeps essentially, I don't know, rolling over, man, and it's just a gift that keeps on giving almost.
Love it.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that knows me knows that you come up to me, you could share anything you want. Like, I hear everything. It's not about cards always. It's life. It's, sobriety, whatever it is for me. And it's because I choose to put that out there. I'm an open book. I got nothing to hide. And I think that's a good feeling for people to experience because they could. It's not just about the cards. They could talk about life with me. And I think my belief is whatever energy you put out is what you're getting back. So I've talked about this on the flight yesterday with somebody. There's drama, there's rants, there's card shows, there's mail days, there's box breaks, and there's other things involved in all that, and it's like, I think where I kind of differentiate myself is it's experience, there's education, there's collector, and there's other things that I think like I want to educate, just like you said, Jeremy, educate, inspire, and help people feel a part of. And I think when we talk about crafting a community, once again, it's the experience is what you make it. I mean, if you're putting out some terrible energy, like people are gonna turn on you. Like it's very easy. Like I don't give a shit about any of that. I just keep good vibes. And even if someone's upset, and it happens. What I comment back is I say, there's 100 other channels to watch, but in the groove of things, you just gotta keep the vibes right, and then my community, I mean, they're priceless. I love them.
So we're at the Toronto Expo, a lot of hockey here. switching a little bit from content creation just for one question to like, you're at the show, what do you want to buy yourself that you just want to have and not necessarily go to sell? Like, we all have those things, we see it, we'll buy it, and we'll keep it for a long, long time. Jeremy, what is that for you?
I'm at this stage of my collecting where I just, if it catches my eye, I will buy it for myself. So yesterday, what caught my eye was a 1994 Panini Smash Hits. I bought the Snoop Dogg and the Nirvana Panini sticker.
Nirvana is very popular, yes.
Yeah, I mean, those to me, I love collecting things. I collect all the sports. I collect historical figures, Hollywood, music, and so I've got a pretty diverse collection. I have an extensive personal collection. I do have card show inventory that allows me to get on the other side of the booth and have a place to hang my hat while I'm at. That's why I started setting up at the expo back in 2005. In 2005 was because I wanted somewhere to put my stuff. So I may as well get a booth. And then you start to realize that, oh, this is pretty good. You know, you're on the other side, you get more cards coming to you, you get to see more, and you can buy better on the other side. So I think that there's a whole narrative around flippers and dealers and what's good. I think it's nice to be able to buy cards at one show, travel to another show like you guys do, and bring the cards to find a good home for a card. And I really take pride in when a buyer buys a card from me and then walks away staring at that card, maybe bumping into people, I know that I found the right home for the card, and I get a lot of gratification from that.
Awesome.
Yeah, so one of the things I love the most about the Sports Card Expo is the fact that it allows me to build a lot of the sets that I've been putting together. And because this is a very like homegrown show where there's so many binders, probably more binders than you'll see in a lot of other shows, truthfully. And there's a lot of old heads siphoning through binders. It's a wonderful vibe, and it actually encourages me to like pull up a chair. I know there was a few tables I went to where they offered up a chair. They had like literally like one of those chairs we see right in front of us, and they're like, "Hey, do you want to sit while you sift through some of the boxes?" And it allows me to kind of be in the right atmosphere to complete some of these sets that I've been trying to complete for quite some time, and at an inexpensive rate. One of the things I purchased this week that I'm super excited about is a Ronaldo Mega Cracks rookie. I mean, as a Portuguese person, this guy was literally my idol growing up. And so, you know, it's not every day you get to see one of these. Being able to bring one home is pretty special for me. So,
Love it.
Congrats, man. That's a big pickup.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I guess for pickups, there's a lot of hockey here, and I don't know anything about hockey.
So how's it going so far?
Connor Crosby, is that his name? No, I'm joking. I know who Connor McDavid is. I don't know. We're buying a lot from the table. Honestly, the bag's filled with cards. So like we buy stuff for, you know, whatnots, and like you said, regional shows. Like nobody really buys. Some people might buy Trey Lance, but like I could sell him in California so much faster. So I mean, like I think it just depends where you're at. But for this show, like I got a Davion Mitchell RPA. The Kings are in the playoffs. You guys know my voice is like still kind of gone, but I try to mix in PC, flippable stuff that maybe. Stop telling me how to buy cards. Yeah, like it just there's different categories to it. I don't think there's a cookie cutter way to do it either. There's no cookie cutter way to collect cards or buy cards. I think it's best to just like buy what you like, obviously, and you know, find a PC. I think that's something I want to tell people. This like find some team or player that you relate to, or something that's gonna like. Even if you picked up a base card, it would make you happy. Like I could pick up a DeMarcus Cousins base card, and it would like it's like a needle in a haystack here. But if I find one, oh my gosh, I'll lose my mind. So
I love it.
I think it's just like there's no cookie cutter way to do it. I think there's so many ways to collect, so many ways to buy, and it's great. That's what makes it so great.
Jay, follow up really quick for you. So you said you already filled your bag. You go home with all of that. What do you do? Like, what's your plan? I'm just curious.
Yeah, you guys should check out the Whatnot app. I'm just kidding. But no, I'm not joking. Like, usually what I do is we run a lot of singles, and honestly, like, I buy a lot of rookies to just give to kids. Like, we have like 5, 10 LaMelo rookies. Like, I don't really need to sell them. We'll give them away, or we'll give them in packages. Or when I go home to my P.O. box, there's like 50 packages, and I usually try to throw in rookie cards. So, like, I'll pick up stuff like that. And then in this bag, too, like, there's stuff that I'll run at $1 on whatnot that, you know, it helps us to keep going to shows. Like, I think it's the whole 7 forms of income and revenue, you know, whether it's single cards, sponsorships, YouTube revenue, stocks. You got to have multiple revenue incomes, so it's just one of them.
Awesome. Very cool. Jeremy, the market's changed a lot in the last 2 to 3 years, as we know, and so has the content creation side of it. I don't need you to go back and recap what's happened, but I want to hear from you about the future, because I think a lot of people are probably curious about what's going to happen in the future. From a content creation standpoint, where do you think the most growth can happen, or the most change can happen, or just anything about, like, how do you think what's happened in the last 2 years will help drive the next 2 years, 4 to 3 years?
Well,
it's a tough question. Yeah, it's not easy.
what I'm hearing and learning is, you know, that Coach Co here may be on the platform that has the most potential for growth on TikTok. I mean, from what I know, maybe there isn't a lot of content on TikTok, so that might be a platform to. I've started putting clips from my videos onto TikTok, and I actually don't run that account myself. So, you know, my editor does that for me, but it went from 0 to like 2,000 followers pretty quickly, and I had one clip hit 1.2 million views.
Jeez.
So that was pretty cool for, you know, that was pretty cool. 1.2 million is a good number. So I think TikTok might be a great platform for growth. As far as it goes, you know, there is so much content out there, and like Jay was saying a few minutes ago, there's something out there for everybody. People often say to me, you know, why don't you report on this or that? I say, well, you got 30 other channels to go to for that. I'm going to stay in my lane. I'm going to do what I do, and I'm not going to worry about, you know, as Jay also mentioned, there's a lot of like, there's attack content, there's hate content, there's bully content out there. And if that floats your boat, go to those channels. You're not going to find it on mine. I guarantee you that. So I think there's going to be some. Unfortunately, there's probably some growth out there for that type of content, but there's also growth available for quality, educational, entertaining, and inspiring content. So, yeah, I think.
I think that's the type of stuff that builds communities and keeps people in the hobby. You know, a lot of people come and go, but if you can really engage with them and make them love it, that's when they'll stay.
Yeah, 100%. And we're all going to have our own unique audiences, and we all have overlap. There's no doubt about that. And not just us 3, us 4, but also all the other content creators out there. We see other people's names in our streams and on other people's streams. So, you know, the other cool thing is this. Here you have 4 guys that would not have known each other if it wasn't for the hobby and doing content. And here we are sitting up on the stage and getting to talk about it. So I think there's also a lot of growth potential for collaborative content between content creators who just get along with each other, respect each other, and have similar goals for the hobby and the community.
I agree.
Yeah, there's a lot of great points there. I also want to mention the fact that Jay over here made a wonderful point earlier about, you know, if we look back on the last 3 years or so of how we've all developed, and how, you know, as we develop more and more, we're actually able to offer more and more to our communities. So I think that that's actually something that the hobby can look forward to moving forward, is that it's not just us 4 that have the ability to add more value to the people who follow us, but like multiply that by however many content creators are out there, right? Like the more, and you're talking about better quality content, you're talking about better interviews, you're talking about more access to athletes. Like, these are all things that, you know, would otherwise be so far removed from the average person, but is actually like getting closer and closer to becoming a reality because of where the sports card market is and where the sports card hobby is, right? Like, I talk a lot about what happened at Burbank Sports Cards with Michael Rubin and what he was able to do with that young fan, with the Devin Booker fan. And just the ability that he has to like call someone, this person's favorite player, and have a FaceTime conversation with that player and have, Devin send over an autographed jersey. Like, I think that is just a very small instance in which, like, what's possible moving forward, maybe not just with Michael Rubin, but because of some of the access that we all have and a lot of, other people have in the space. So I think that, in following us and in interacting and in the community, like, there's just going to be so many opportunities where, I'm sure that people who have interacted with each other on my content have probably, like, linked up and, like, probably found some pretty cool, like, PCs together. Like, I've know of instances where two people who were followers who, like, were commenting on one of my posts end up, like, following each other, and they're like, yo, like, now we collect the same things. So yeah, just furthering that community but also having more access to people who I think otherwise would be completely and utterly, like, unattainable.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think what you guys said was excellent, everybody here. I think the hobby just has to continue. I think we get into this whole E equals MC squared. Like, everybody wants the hobby to be a Yankee Stadium, and we want the TV to put it on, and we want Netflix, and, like, it's just like, I don't know about you guys, but it's like, create content, genuine content, invite people into this hobby, educate them, and if they want to join this hobby, they will. You know what I mean? You can't force this hobby on people. It's not going to happen. Like, and I think that's why I think our videos, like, in some instance, I feel like they protect the hobby for what it really is. There's no, like, it's just like, I always tell JD, just roll the camera. Like, whatever is going to happen is going to happen. And I think that's what we need. And I think, like, with our outlets like ours, we get to put out, content that can elevate the hobby. But, like, it's like unconditional love, right, versus conditional love. If I have conditional love, it means I'll love you if you do this. If it's unconditional love, I'll love you no matter what. I think of that in my content. I don't have any expectations on my content. My content is going to go out, and if you love it, that's awesome, and if you don't, it's all right. But I'm going to put it out because I love it, And I think more people need to start doing that because we're trying to force the hobby, and I think it's a reach. I think it's a reach on many levels, and I think what my goal is for this year is, one, I want to protect the hobby, and two, I want to teach people about what a true collector is, because that needs to come back. It's not all about sports card investing and flipping. It's more than that. That's a part of it. But I think what I preach on my channel is you can be an investor, a flipper, or a collector. You could also be all three. It doesn't matter. Just pick, like, stay in your lane, like, develop something, but develop that collector, because I think that's super important. But I think if you have a voice in this hobby, you should use it in the right ways, honestly.
All right, anything else from you three? One last thing to add if you need it. Otherwise, that's it.
I got one comment on what Jay just said. We can't force the hobby on people. That's not going to work, but we can introduce the hobby to people, and then they decide if they like it. So any way that we can, show our collections and share our passion, whether it's through the creation of content or talking to your friends at work, talking to your friends at school, talking, whatever it is. We love this hobby for a reason. I think I refer to the collector's gene, which we have, and some people have it, but it's dormant, so maybe we can wake it up a little bit.
Awesome. And how about just remind people where they can find you or who you are in case anyone missed it at the beginning?
My name's Jeremy Lee. I'm on Sports Cards Live. S is on Sports and Cards. And my channel is on YouTube, and I'm on Instagram, jlee_sportscardslive. And this is Coach Co.
He just introduced me for me. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm Coach Co. My name's actually Brendan, and you can find me at TikTok, Coach Co Collectibles. I'm also on Instagram. I'm on YouTube strictly for reels, and I'm also on a Cardboard Coaches podcast, and my co-host is around here somewhere, but we do a weekly show about an hour long on YouTube, so find me on Spotify as well.
Yep, we're Mojo Sports on YouTube, Mojo Sports LLC on Instagram, and what else do we have? We have Mojo Sports LLC on Twitter, and I just want to say thank you guys for putting this on, and I'm glad to be up here with all you guys, and thank you guys that are here today. Appreciate you guys.
We have a question from the crowd for you.
What?
What content do you watch?
I love sports cards. No, I'm just kidding. I don't watch sports card content. I'm going to be honest with everybody here. I don't watch it. I watch YouTube video gamers. I watch lifestyle vlogs, Casey Neistat.
Did you say Casey Middlestat?
Yeah, Neistat.
Oh, they said Middlestat, the
No.
hockey player. I'm like, what?
And I watch people outside of cards because they inspire me. You know, I watch some card content on Instagram though, and I listen to some podcasts actually. But for YouTube, I really watch other people. It's my thing.
In terms of card content, it's mainly podcasts. Like I do really like what gets talked about over the course of like an hour or an hour and a half or 45 minutes or 30 minutes. Like I feel like you really get to know someone personally without actually getting to know them through a genuine conversation. You see emotions, you see like how someone reacts to things. So because of that, I prefer to watch it on YouTube versus listen on Spotify, because I do like seeing reactions. I feel like I really relate with those people. In terms of, I'm also on the same page as Jay, where like I do watch a lot of content that tends to motivate me and kind of put me in the right direction, and not so much sports cards all day, every day. But I do love my sports card content.
Well, of course, these three fine, esteemed co-panelists of mine, and I'll just look at my latest episodes on my podcast app here. So, Dr. James Beckett, Sports Card Insights, Stacking Slabs, Cousins Collectibles, Sports Cards Nonsense, Sports Card Investor, Hockey Cards Gong Show, Wax Museum, Sports Card Therapist. I'll stop right there. I listened to a bunch on the plane on the way here, so they're no longer showing up there, but I consume my share of hobby content.
I'm a little bit like Jay. I don't watch long-form YouTube stuff. My attention span's very quick. Probably would lend myself more to Coach Co. See some of his TikToks sometimes. But I do just gather a lot from social media, honestly. I scroll through Instagram a lot while I'm posting and see different things from different people. All these guys, I see their stuff just randomly pop up on Instagram. I'm just a very quick consumer, honestly. My mind's always running around, so not too much YouTube, but I do see Jay's videos sometimes too.
How's that, Mikey? We good?
All right, perfect. Thank you, everyone, for
Thank you.
joining.